going to be challenging Guava as Guava some of the most, all the questions that we could possibly think in our own head, right? And I want to be the one to ask. You ever been doing a painting or a drawing, whatever you're doing, and you're going, and then you're just like, you're doing something, you're just not coming out, and you just, so what do you do in that moment? Like when you're doing something and it's not coming to a vision of how you're seeing it.
I stop painting and I get up and do something else.
I mean, take that as a life lesson, everyone.
Yeah, and then when I've settled my nerves and then figured out what I should do, I then go back and then start to work at it again, you know? And from there, the creation kicks on.
I have a question. The first time I saw, shout out to Logic, shout out to Alden, shout out to Impose Fire.
And you know,
yeah, he has a lot of names. He's a hell of a guy. So when I first, came across your work, I was like, yo, this is so hip hop, right? I see a lot of graffiti influences in your work. I see, your attention to brush strokes and stuff like that. What was a major influence in your current style right now?
I would say it would be the affinity for whatever you're about to paint. And then after you start to paint it, you want to paint it as fast as you can or as best as you can, but in my own way. Versus the way it's supposed to look or it already looks or what the person would imagine it to look like. So from there, like the style that started to develop, I would do things in my way. This remote, when I paint it, it's not gonna look like how it looks right there. It's gonna resemble the remote with all the colors and the buttons and everything. That would make it look like, but in my own vision of what it should look like, with sharp edges, lots of detail. You know what I mean? That's a continuation and then somewhat of a completion for each piece. Because if you look at them, even though my artwork look wild and brushy and crazy and zany sometimes, it's all saw these connections, you get me?
Do you have like a favorite subject matter?
Not really. I like challenges, Like when first I think to myself, oh, I haven't painted this yet? Oh, I haven't done that yet. Let me try that, you know what I mean? That's what I like to do. You get me? Yeah.
I have a question though. So have you ever, what's it like being in a boring situation for you? So I mean, you're creative, right? So say you have to sit, let's say somewhere. Say you're sitting in an office, say government office. And let's say you have to sit there for like 3-4 hours. There's like, because in my head, I think everybody...
I'd find something creative to do. I'll maybe start singing to myself or singing in my head or creating stories in my mind. This is what I do.
So can you like look at other people and just like make your own characters? Like,
Indeed. Like I've made worlds of watching people. I would look at people and just imagine what a person looks like from the past right to the future, and I can like project all this stuff, like what they're gonna go make or what they're gonna attempt to do, or if they're gonna attempt anything, or if they're gonna stay in that same motion until they drop dead, or they're gonna change their ways and stuff. It's crazy. It's mind-boggling because I know some people do it, but some people don't do it. They don't think that deep because they're so occupied with their life. Life is just lifing. You get me?
But you're able to like kind of get in there and just think it. Because I had my friend says one of the things that she likes of being an artist. She's been creative from a long time. Growing up, we used to go to school together, and she likes to write. She's a writer, and she's like, Chauncey, you don't understand. I could sit somewhere and I just watch people and put stories together in my own head. She's like, that's just a skill I have as a creative. I can make stories in my own head. So I'm like, okay, so everybody's just, it's like that movie Divergent. Everybody's different.
I had a question for you. Like your pineapple series, right? I've seen as I told you, off air, I told you how I came across a lot of your work. That pineapple series, how did that come about?
The Pine Kush character?
Yes.
Well, it came about from two main reasons. I wanted to create another character apart from my mascot teeth, to represent Antigua. You get me? And the two main things, especially from 2018, to commemorate the legalization of medical cannabis in Antigua, and then two, the pineapple, which is our local fruit. You get me? So I fused the two and named them Pine Kush. You get me? There's Kush for the cannabis, like, you know, whatever Kush strain you have, and then you have the pineapple, and then you get Pine Kush. But also Kush is also another word, I think, for Africa. So there you go. So it just works hand in hand. And from there, he's this little character that's been like trying to advocate cannabis all these years, you know what I mean? And now it's finally became legal, you know, in that aspect. He's basically celebrating. So I put him in all these adventures. I'm always like constantly like making it look like this or that. I constantly like he has the ability to change shape and take on all sorts of different forms. Right. And what I plan to do, or wish or hope to happen, is if this character can become like the face for Antigua in terms of that marketability for a mascot or merch. You get me? I was thinking about, because I've already like made little 3D versions of it because I have a 3D printer. You get me? And I've made a little 3D version, and they sell like hotcakes. They went really fast, but I can't print them enough to sell enough to make profit. So the ones I've sold are samples. Everybody who has one has a unique one because it's fully painted differently. You get me?
I need one.
Now think about this. You're at the airport. You're leaving. You're going back to your home country where you visited from. And there at the gift shop, you got all these different versions of Pine Kush. You got Pine Kush, tissue box, you got Pine Kush, little statues, Pine Kush, little hold. They're gonna like sit on your desktop. The whole stuff inside, and people don't have to like know that your stuff is in there. You can put hide your jewelry and stuff in it and just stand there. You get me?
Just to give you like a whole different meaning of it. Because I mean, when you leave a Caribbean country, I mean, you get the most generic thing, like a palm tree or something, but imagine a little pineapple.
Exactly. Why
just high on your table.
So why should we?
I'm gonna look at that and be like, Antigua's just great. I'm gonna go back, you know?
Yeah, I mean, like, exactly. And then think about that, right? Like, why don't we have to like stick in this motion of like perpetual
land, sun, and sea?
Because it's safe. It's safe.
Sun, sea, and sand.
It's safe.
But then why not introduce something that's young and hipper? Because the world is evolving.
I don't think West Indian people like. I don't think they like to step away from culture that's not safe.
But this is culture. You can't get more culture than that.
They don't like to step away from things that aren't.
Look at Beanie Man because he's saying like doubles. I mean, come on.
You see what he
like doubles. You know what I'm saying?
We don't like to step away from things that's safe. So anything that's new, anything that's a bit too like modern or different is what we don't like it. That's just our culture here.
How do you feel about art in Antigua right now? Like
it's slowly
the
growing.
energy and so on.
It's slowly growing, but it's still not getting enough attention and credit. You know, like we're still working on it. You know, a few of us are pushing for murals and stuff to be done and whatnot. So that's something that's, you know, to look forward to. But then when I don't know what's gonna happen, when it's gonna happen, but hopefully very soon. And our Antigua is growing because we got more kids that are coming in and asking questions. And now we have the Key Studios in Red Cliff Key. That place just constantly brings more artists in, and people are coming up there and painting and advertising and showing off their artwork and, you know, making sales and stuff, and it's just making people feel better now, you know, because they can see the value in it, you know, and they don't. Some of them aren't just looking at it as just a hobby anymore. They can see that it's something that it's a lifestyle, which it should be, because art is about the past and the future. Today, like for instance, yesterday, right, a woman stopped me and came into my studio as I was closing up and I was finishing up a piece, and she asked me a question. Can I ask you a question, because my daughter, she draws like and blah blah blah, and I want to know if is there a future for art or in a monetary? I'm like, oh, so wait, hear this. So I said to her, ma'am, let me explain to you something, right? The shoes you have on your foot, that bag you're rocking on your shoulder, the glasses you're wearing, it wouldn't exist if you're naked if it didn't have art. Because art is what created those things. They were imaginations first, and then they were drawings. Then they were technical drawings, and then from the technical drawings they became samples. So art is the creation of all things. You get me? It's the past and the future.
Right.
You said
go ahead, bro.
You said that like art here in Antigua is not getting the attention that it deserves. Attention from whom?
The government, the philanthropists, like the business owners. Antigua have a lot of people who accumulate wealth and they exploit us. So why not spend some of that money on artists that can create beautiful art for your company, for the island, and you can sponsor it, and even put your name out there and become even better and say, hey, I donated to this art group or this art project for them to do a whole mural of my supermarket. Everything was so bland. Many times when I'm in Red Key and folks would come to me and say, your island is different from the rest. They don't really have a lot of artwork on the walls. I'm like, I know.
Yeah.
We're very lacking it.
If you grew up in the 80s, a lot of Cuban art, Haitian art used to dominate, especially like the vendors malls. Even when APO used to be down where vendors mall is currently on Thames Street, there was a bunch of Haitian art that was there. And I used to ask myself, like, okay, what do we have for ourselves? And then, show it to people like Leon Tomlinson, who used to actually do, these, they used to paint all these signs on the side of the recreation ground fence.
Yeah.
And those type of people are just like, okay, is it just limited to that? But in you saying that, okay, there's not a lot of exposure, but if you were approached, let's just say you were approached by a philanthropist who would sponsor you, or the government, and they said, okay, we're going to sponsor you to go into the schools just to do a couple of exhibitions, a couple of talk, actual live demonstrations.
Yeah, of course, you get me? Without a doubt. That's my how should I say this? That's my nature, man. Like, I love to paint live. I love to show what I can do, because people don't understand, it took me years of conditioning and development to get
and failure
like that. Where of course failures, no doubt. Failures are what help you go stronger, become more powerful. So when people keep winning, sometimes you don't learn anything, and then you win because sometimes you got the people helping you win, and you're not winning the money you don't anymore.
Any initiative that you are currently working on in terms of your own brand to move forward? Are you working on anything, or you just basically just?
There's a lot of things in the works in terms of in my mind on what I want for the future of Guava the art, and I'm just slowly building as the time goes on. You know what I mean? You just have to wait and see. I don't want to jinx anything, so I just don't really talk about a lot of the projects that I'm building up on.
I get you. We talk about everything here on the show. We talk about books, movies, and all of that. Let's just say, a book company or a comic company, or even let's just say a film company were to approach you just to get the licensing for them to use some of your characters. Are you up for that, or you one of those
100%.
artists that would hold everything to your chest?
No, 100%. I would sign off on some of them. I mean, pretty much all of them, but I'd have to have an agreement between them and myself as to how much percent I'm gonna get. I'm gonna have control over that, in terms of the sales and the sales of it. You get me? Or the royalties or whatever that comes.
You don't want an Aaron Magruder you.
So somewhere in Antigua, there's a parent looking at the mountains of artwork that their child is producing, and having their back of their mind, how this picnic will make money with this summer. Would you have an answer to that? I know it's very broad.
Yeah, but I mean, there's so many ways. I guess prints of it to the hotels, prints to gift shops all around the island. Just take a few of them to the best ones that you think is saleable, and make different sizes of copies of them from a print shop, and you can put them in plastic sleeves or frame some of them and sell them for a higher price if you need be, and that's how they make money. This picnic can make money from this
How does one even build their name as an artist here in Antigua? Or do you have to build your name outside of Antigua first?
My whole journey is just I just follow I follow the path that I'm led. You get me? So if I'm supposed to go here, I'll go there. If I'm supposed to go there, I'm gonna go there. You know. So anywhere on the planet where I have to go and do any sort of art project or art, you know what I mean, commission, I make sure I document it and post it because I want people to see a part of my journey as to what I'm doing. And even from there, it gives me experience because I see different things. My mind gets bigger, you know what I mean? And people realize, okay, he's just not staying here and doing the art on the island. He's over here painting there, he's over here doing this, you know what I mean? He's collaborating with this, you get me? So that's where it stems from, basically.
Final question. What is the single most important attribute that an artist should have, or an aspiring artist should have?
His personality and attitude, I guess.
Personality
and his attitude, or her attitude. Yeah, because believe me, you need that to get forward. Because if you don't, boy, you'll get eaten alive. It's crazy.
Let's just say somebody were to approach you now and say, after listening to this interview here, because you know people be hearing us, people be knowing us, and they said that, you know, I want you to be, you know, a little mentor. I want you to do a little mentorship program, or to show my child, you know, the ins and outs about painting, designing. You know, I know you're into like embroidery and stuff like that, all of that.
Where's my wife?
That's your wife, you know, show it to your wife and all of that. So what would you tell that person?
Yeah, the individual would have to be passionate about it. It wouldn't be one of the things where they don't see the value of money in art. The person would have to want to just do art for art's sake. Just love to create. I want to create beautiful things for this world, because it's not about just images and models or statues. It's about innovation too. You get me? Because half the time when you guys see me drawing or painting something, right? Sometimes some of those things I'm painting on one for them to come to fruition. For instance, I paint flying cars and stuff. Because I think it's about damn time we have cars that don't go on the street anymore. You know, cars that can actually hover and have the sensory force field around them to like not bump into each other, especially when you get close to them. These things can be attainable. You get me? It just takes the time and the finance to get it done. And instead of pumping money into a whole bunch of like, you know, unnecessary things, we could be putting money into these type of research that can get us from there to there. You get me? So it's all about innovation too, man.
And are you willing to work with other creators in different mediums?
Collaboration, yeah, as long as it's a serious venture and they're all, you know, T's are supposed to be crossed and that I's are supposed to be dot, you know what I mean? Then I'm all for it. And then if everything looks clear, and yeah, I'll check it out.
Well, how can people reach you? How can people find you? How can people get in contact?
I'm located in Red Cookie, and just opposite the ice cream store. Right next to Guava Antigua.
What are your socials?
GuavaDeArt.com, GuavaDeArt on Instagram, and GuavaDeArt for Facebook.
Amen.
Yeah. Guava.
Amen.
One question before we leave, and I know we're pressed for time. What would you like people to take away from your art?
Just happiness, man. You know, because I'm not painting a lot of like bright colors. And even though some art looks like it could look like it can be dark, but it's not really dark. It's just edgy. It just have a lot of colors that like bring happiness and smile to your face. You know what I mean? Like when you see one of my pieces hung, you're just like, damn, that's cool. You know what I mean? And it makes you feel better. And if you can relate to it, it even helps you too, because it helps you to cope mentally. You know, some people go through life and they have some mental things about them that something they need an escape. And sometimes the art piece is what they gravitate to. And then they come home and they say, and they look at the art piece and then they put their bags on or whatever, and then they go to the kitchen and then, you know, and some people have that type of ritual. They do that, you know. Man, I'm glad I bought that piece. And if they walk on those, like for instance, there's a client of mine in Barbados. he has a piece he bought for me, right? Of this really cool abstract girl holding on to a towel and a window behind her, right? And he has it hung over his bed. And man's like, man, I look at it every morning. You know what I mean? And he's like, I wake up to every morning, I feel amazing, you know? Like, that makes me feel good when I hear that.
Amen. Amen.
And on that note, we come to the end of another show and come to the end of another season. Guava, thank you so much for coming and spending time with us. And thank you, our audience, for tuning in every week and just riding with us as we go to the weekend. Last words, guys?
Pickets, stand up.
Blessings to everyone.
Yeah,
Have a
man.
good weekend.